Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier. The big changes coming to a beloved Cincinnati dining institution. Xavier gets innovative with 3D printers. If you can imagine it, they say these printers can create it. And this man wants to make sure empty nesters are living the urban life they want. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Peg Rasconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, it's one of the quintessential tastes and aromas of Cincinnati. For 67 years, Frisch's restaurants have been serving up big boys with that famous tartar sauce, massive onion rings, and strawberry pie. But today, the nostalgic pull of Frisch's is at a turning point, and the stakes are high for Big Boy. Currently, the Cincinnati chain is facing an activist investor, a more than $3 million embezzlement case, and most importantly, a customer base that has more options and is steadily turning to healthier fast food choices. Experts say Frisch's could be sold or forced to shake up its style and become something more modern and appealing to younger customers. The fate of Frisch's impacts not only its thousands of loyal customers. In Cincinnati, between its 52 restaurants and commissary and corporate headquarters, it employs about 3,500 people. And keep in mind, Frisch's has paid a cash dividend every quarter going back to its IPO in 1960. It's had exactly 2 CEOs in the past 45 years, Jack Meyer, who became CEO in 1970, and his son Craig, who took over in 1989 and still runs it today. But in business, nothing lasts forever. Business Courier reporter Steve Watkins wrote this story and joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio with more.
Thanks. Oh, Steve, I don't like this story. Say it ain't so.
Well,
Frisch's. I love Frisch's.
I know, this could be sad news. Hopefully it won't be an enormous change like that where everything goes away.
So why are things so tough right now?
Well, there's a few things working against Frisch's right now, as we mentioned, and probably the biggest thing is just the change in dining habits. That you know, Frisch's is an institution. It's been around 67 years, and a lot of things really haven't changed much. But people.
You mean those onion rings aren't healthy?
The buddy boy and the brawny lad, and of course the big boy.
So
Yes, but people are starting to eat healthier, faster.
Right.
You know, places like Chipotle and that sort of thing have become way in vogue, and Frisch's restaurant segment really isn't doing that great. So that's one of the big things.
So this activist investor, probably a lot of people like me aren't quite sure what that means.
Yeah, it's an investor and an institution, it's usually a money management firm, and what they do is they buy a significant chunk of stock. In this case, it's a little over 5% of the shares. Doesn't sound like much, but that makes them one of the bigger shareholders, and because they are an activist, in fact, it's called the Active Owners Fund. That's their purpose. That means they get in there, they try to buy enough shares, get some other shareholders behind them, and try to make changes. And there's any number of changes it could be. They could push for a sale of the company, which may or may not mean Frisch's Big Boy would go away. Somebody could buy it and keep running it. They might not even push to sell it, though. There are other things they could do. They could try to maximize the value of assets with things like selling off all the real estate and having Frisch's lease it back or something like that. There's a lot of different, sometimes it's just pushing for cost-cutting moves that make the company more efficient, and there could be things that result in a bigger dividend, for example. So a lot of changes could happen.
And I mean, I know you can't tell us for sure, but what's the speculation on how this will all play out?
Yeah, people talk to a lot of money managers and some mergers and acquisitions people. There's a few things. I mean, certainly it could go on the selling block, and you know, if it's a public company, so if somebody tries to buy it, they have to consider the offer, and if it's fair for shareholders, you know, they have to accept it. There's a lot of merger and acquisition activity going on right now, both broadly and in the restaurant industry. So that's certainly a possibility. I think people don't think that's all that likely, and I think it might be more changes in format. They could go to more of a fast casual type of scenario where people go up to the counter, order, and then have them bring their food.
Gotcha. And you know, I was joking at the beginning about my onion rings, but really this is a Cincinnati institution, and Frisch's means so much to the city. I think of the Nutcracker, for example, and those types of things.
Yeah, it is. It has a huge impact. As we said earlier, it employs 3,500 people here. There are 52 restaurants, and they sponsor a lot of things. They're virtually synonymous with the Nutcracker that the ballet does. They sponsor the zoo, the museums here in town.
The zoo, yeah.
I mean, their name is kind of ubiquitous in the city, so it does have a huge impact on Cincinnati.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in, Steve. This is a great read. Be sure to read the full print edition, and
thank you.
we'll send it back. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Kelly and Steve. And that is an institution that has given a lot back to our community. Well, Xavier University has opened the Midwest's first MakerBot Innovation Center, making it only the third university in the U.S. to have such a 3D printing lab. The MakerBot Center contains 31 3D printers and 3,500 pounds of material with which to print. The university hopes to increase that to 100 printers that will be used in the classroom and also by members of the business community.
So one of the gaps in Cincinnati was 3D printing in a desktop type manner. And so we saw this as an opportunity. So how we partner with startups that need to do rapid prototyping, to mothers who want to do a startup business. So a cool area you can do even with this is you can make jewelry. So there's filaments that you can print jewelry off. So it's really encouraging people to explore with their mind to create whatever they want. But it's not just for Xavier, it's for the whole Cincinnati region.
Xavier has started a new major around the lab called Human-Centered Making. According to one of the professors, it's all about designing and creating solutions to problems while keeping the user in mind. Well, here's another sign of the times. When dunnhumby USA employees start setting up their desks at the company's new downtown Cincinnati headquarters, one familiar desk item will be missing: the traditional landline telephone. The customer science analysis company is eliminating traditional desk phones and instead using headsets connected to laptops for calls. dunnhumby USA has more than 700 employees, with the majority of them currently working here in downtown Cincinnati. Employees are expected to start moving into the new office at the corner of 5th and Ray Streets around the end of March or early April. Well, after a lengthy foreclosure process, the new owners of an office tower in downtown Cincinnati are working to fix up and fill the half-vacant building. URS Tower on 7th Street sold for $7 million in a sheriff's sale last September. It's 12 stories of office space on top of 12 stories of parking garage. There wasn't much leasing activity at the tower during the foreclosure, and now new owner LNR Partners is looking to reintroduce the building as an option for companies looking for space downtown. And with URS out of the building, there are now naming opportunities for that office tower. The man who set the standard for upscale local condos with his four-phase project in Marymount is featured in the Business Courier Q&A this week. Rick Greiwe says what makes his developments unique is they're all in walkable communities. Buyers can customize their units, and the architecture is timeless. He currently has projects underway in Marymount and Hyde Park.
We really target empty nesters. This baby boomer population is just exploding right now. They're looking to downsize, they want convenience, and they want experiences. So having a place where you can walk and have activity within just a few steps away is what we really target.
Units in Greiwe's developments typically sell in the $650,000 to $2 million range. The Mayfield Clinic plans to consolidate 3 of its 10 medical officers to space now under construction at the Rookwood Exchange in Norwood. The Mayfield Clinic has 38 doctors and a staff of 160, making it the region's 9th largest physician group. The new location will allow the group to start offering physical therapy and x-ray services, which will create at least 8 jobs.
And it's going to be much larger than the 4 facilities that we're currently combining. Will allow our patients to have covered parking, ease of access, and great visibility, and kind of demonstrate our commitment to the community of Cincinnati.
Mayfield's longtime headquarters has been in a mansion on Oak Street in Avondale, bought in 1953 by Dr. Frank Mayfield, the founder of the group. OHC Inc. is one of the largest doctor groups in greater Cincinnati, and it plans to get even bigger with the help of several former Procter & Gamble executives. OHC, which stands for Oncology Hematology Care, specializes in the treatment of cancer and blood disorders.
You know, independence matters today because it affords patients a choice in how they're cared for. Within our practice, we have expertise in every form of cancer. We collaborate freely. We'll share information about the care that we're providing for our patients and look for the best approaches.
And he's partnering with two former P&G colleagues at OHC. The religious group that owns the Creation Museum and is building the Ark Encounter theme park in Kentucky is filing a federal lawsuit against state officials for denying tax incentives for its newest project. In the lawsuit, Answers in Genesis claims the actions of state lawmakers and Governor Steve Beshear violated state and federal law. Those actions involve allegedly revoking preliminary approval of tax incentives for the Noah's Ark-themed park because Answers in Genesis is a religious organization and plan to hire Christian employees. Hamilton County Commissioners have okayed a deal to renovate Memorial Hall. That's the intimate 600-seat theater in Over the Rhine near Music Hall. It will get new seating, air conditioning, renovated bathrooms, better acoustics, and a catering kitchen. It's all under a renovation plan that commissioners approved last week. The county will kick in $1.5 million for the nearly $8 million plan. Construction could start as soon as June if fundraising goes as planned. Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, favorite and least favorite Super Bowl ads. And more local breweries, many more, expected to open in 2015. Some news now that's getting a lot of attention on the Business Courier website and social media sites. Bearcat football recently ended, but apparently a lot of you are looking forward to next year. A slideshow of the progress of UC's Nippert Stadium is getting a lot of hits on the Business Courier website. The $86 million renovation of the 90-year-old stadium is expected to be complete in time for the 2015-2016 football season. And some local ad execs' picks for best and worst Super Bowl ads have you clicking on the CincinnatiBusinessCourier.com. Lots of different picks, but when it comes to worst, not surprising, Nationwide seems to be leading the pack. We prefer dogs and horses. And not surprising, a list of 8 new local breweries scheduled to open in 2015 is also getting a lot of views. This is video of Mad Tree Brewery, which recently celebrated its 2-year anniversary. Check the Business Courier website to review the ones that are coming soon. Remke Markets will close its Newport store next month. The store will begin liquidation of its inventory this week and is expected to close on March 8th. The Newport store is located less than a mile from a Kroger marketplace. The Newport Remke employs 58 associates who will be given the opportunity to fill available positions at Remke's 12 other locations. The Bay Horse Cafe is known as one of the oldest saloons in the city, dating back to at least 1878. Alfred Berger, a longtime Cincinnati real estate investor, has bought the former site of the Bay Horse on Main Street, right on the streetcar line. Berger envisions reopening that bar. Well, the old market saying is, as goes January, so goes the market, suggests that the stock market's performance to start the year often sets the tone for the next 11 months. In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, U.S. Bank Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager Mike Denneman looks at the results from last month and what that means for 2015. He's with Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Peg. Mike, thanks for being here today.
Good morning.
So tell me, why is January such an important indicator for us?
Sure. Well, like Peg said, there are a lot of market observers who believe that January is a strong indicator for the rest of the year. If we start off strong, the rest of the year will be strong, and vice versa. So, believe it or not, analysts have looked at this pattern, and depending on how you interpret the data, it seems to work about 70% of the time. Okay. So that seems to suggest a pretty strong correlation, of course, but then there are others who say, it's no more than just a random coincidence. I mean, January tends to be a strong month. the market tends to go up more than it goes down, so maybe it's somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but still, all things being even, you'd rather start the year on a high note.
Okay. All right, well, given that trend or your thoughts on that, where are we after January?
Well, unfortunately, it wasn't a very good start to the year. So the market finished 2014 on a high note, but then it lost about 3% last month. So that suggests that there was no January rally, of course, and it's actually the second January in a row that we've started in negative territory. If you remember last year, January was one of the worst months weather-wise that we'd had in decades, and that was really a hard hit to both the economy and to the market. But, contrary to our little theory this morning about as goes January, so goes the market, stocks bounced back very strongly last year. Once the snow melted, it actually put up a pretty good year. So certainly that didn't fit the pattern. So it'll be important to see if this year stocks have that same sort of, I guess for lack of a better word, the resiliency that we saw in 2014.
Any other indicators out there? What does this mean for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so we've had a nice bounce back to start February,
okay.
So that's certainly welcome. It'll be important to see if we carry that momentum through. But again, it's important to remember the market dynamics out there. Last year, again, pinning most of the blame on the weather, but that was only temporary. We knew that warmer temperatures were right around the corner. This year, I think some of the concerns are a bit more fundamental. People are worried about what's going on with the Federal Reserve and interest rates, what's going on in Greece with currency fluctuations, the price of oil. There's so many concerns out there right now, and these are real concerns. So until we get some real answers, I think it'll be hard for the market to make a sustained run. I might also mention, since we're talking about market superstitions, that there's another one out there that seems to have some negative connotations right now, and that's the Super Bowl indicator. And the proponents of that say that when the NFC wins, that indicates a strong year. When the AFC wins, maybe not so much. So for those of us who would prefer to be bullish, that late interception last week was not a good sign.
Oh, wow. I think I'd rather go with the January theory than the Super Bowl theory. Mike, what do you think?
Maybe we should just flip a coin.
There we go. Well, I appreciate the data and the knowledge. Obviously, it brings a lot of thought, a lot for us to think about.
Right.
So we'll see you again here soon.
Thanks.
All right, Peg, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jamie and Mike. And still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, the UC Cincinnati Business Achievement Awards are coming up, and we'll honor 3 individuals and 1 local business. We'll talk with the Dean of UC's Business School for a sneak peek. And congratulations to Janiyah Trotter Bratton, owner of Trotter Law LLC, another of our 40 under 40 honorees. In this morning's Business Insight, the University of Cincinnati Carl H. Lindner College of Business Alumni Board of Governors is planning the 30th Annual Cincinnati Business Achievement Awards. On Thursday, March 5th, the group will honor some of the very best and brightest in the local business community. This year's honorees are Timothy Fogarty, CEO of Westchester Holdings, who will receive the award for Outstanding Business Achievement. Julia Poston, Cincinnati Office Managing Partner for Ernst & Young, will receive a Distinguished Service Award, as will Phil Collins, Managing Director for Orchard Holdings Group. And Ohio National Financial Services will receive the Business Partnership Award. About 500 people are expected to attend the event at the Westin Cincinnati. The UC Business Awards are Cincinnati's longest standing event recognizing business achievement and community service. Joining us this morning is David Szymanski, Dean of the Lindner School of Business at UC. He's with Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Peg. Dean, thanks for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, Jamie.
So 30 years, that's pretty successful to have an awards program going on.
Absolutely. It's a long time. But, the fun part about it is that each year we find out that there's this outstanding people who we can still recognize. So it's a phenomenal program.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about some of the honorees.
Yeah, Tim Fogarty's our winner of the Lindner Medal, which is our outstanding alumni. And it's really, a reflection of Mr. Lindner, who obviously we named our business school after. But it's a person of commitment, integrity, respect, and someone who gave back to the community community. Tim's CEO of Westchester Protective Gear. They make gloves and other protective gear for industrial and retail. Largest importer of gloves in the Western Hemisphere.
That's
but
incredible.
a great person.
Yeah. Now, is that award more about what they do to Cincinnati business, or more about the university, or a combination of?
Yeah, it's a combination of both of those, but it really is about someone who's been successful in the business world, who's given back to the university, but importantly gives back to the community. And
Okay.
it's really about citizenship.
Okay. And then we have a couple Distinguished Service Awards. Let's talk about that.
We do. Julia Poston, who's managing partner of E&Y, a person who's really well known in the community. She's the chairperson of the board for the regional chamber. She works with the United Way. Great partner. They've been a great partner with us in the Linder College of Business, supporting our programs. And so we're thrilled to be able to honor her. And the other person that we're going to honor is Phil Collins, who's CEO, co-founder of of Orchard Holdings. Another alum, but it's a private equity company, $6 billion private equity company, and he's been extremely successful investing people's money in middle market companies.
In a very competitive marketplace.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the business partnership with Ohio National Financial Services. That's obviously more for the students.
It is. They've been tremendous supporters of our scholarship programs through their foundation. They've been supporters of our Linder Honors Plus program, which is our top honors program for undergraduates. Also been supporters of our Kolodzic Business Honors program, which is another top program that we have for our undergraduate students. But they've been phenomenal partners for us in both not only mentoring our students and giving scholarships, but also importantly hiring our students, which is great.
All of that's important.
Absolutely.
And then we're honoring one student who receives free tuition.
We are Mr. Goginini, who's one of our Kolodzic Business Honors students. It is the fun part about my job is that I get to interact with all sorts of people, including our students. And what you find out about the young people is that our future is pretty bright. They're phenomenal people and phenomenal students, but also really well-rounded individuals.
Yeah, well, it's great. It sounds like we're honoring, all aspects of Cincinnati business, and it's wonderful for, the university to do that.
Absolutely. And the thing that makes Cincinnati outstanding is its people. It's a thing that you can't duplicate anywhere else, and we have phenomenal people in our community, and we're just pleased that we can honor them.
Well, great. Well, thanks for being here today, and thank the university for doing such a great job with our future business leaders.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jamie.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks. Peg, back to you.
All right, sounds like a great event. Thanks, gentlemen. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, you can visit the Business Courier online and sign up for daily emails and follow on Twitter and Facebook. The address is CincinnatiBusinessCourier.com. I'm Peg Rasconi. Have a great Sunday.